I hate Destiny 2. It's my favorite game. What started as a meme within the Destiny 2 community has become something of a self-mocking catchphrase for me in my time playing Bungie's live service looter shooter. Following their development of some small indie games no one ever played called Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, a new project began, known in early development as Project Tiger, a new fantasy game that through its development was infused with sci-fi elements. However, unlike its totally obscure and unplayed predecessors, this project would be a first-person, multiplayer live service game, something we are all too familiar with now, but at the time was not a market that had been broken into much outside of most MMOs. With a baseline story to start out, followed by expansions, updates, and tweaks in the years to come, this project would be an evolving world with stories to tell. This world would come to be known as Destiny. My experience with Destiny 1 was, safe to say, a limited one. At the age of 15, the only console I had access to was my brother's PlayStation 3, and the internet connection where I lived was minimal, as were my funds at the time. But when I saw a cool, stylish new game centered around space magic that had a demo available on the PlayStation Store, I thought I'd go for it. At this time, I was entirely unaware of the type of game Destiny was, from the fundamentals of its game design to its story, characters, or any of what made it great. I had seen no marketing for it, nor had I ever really played any of those early Halo entries. I was used to playing straightforward single-player action games, so that was the experience that I expected from Destiny. The demo allowed me to play only to level 7, but it allowed me to open up and explore the world through its opening Cosmodrome section. In this intro, I was blown away. The gunplay was fun and stylish, the enemies were interesting and engaging, and I was in love with the Sparrow gameplay. But once I hit the tower, my interest, or at least my understanding, dwindled. Who are all these characters? Are they all vendors? What are bounties? There's more than one currency? Is that Nathan Fillion? I was lost. I didn't understand what a live service or large-scale multiplayer game was, so I never played beyond that point. I would load up the demo every couple months, soak in the aesthetic and the gameplay of the different classes, and explore the Cosmodrome. And that was the end of my Destiny journey. At least, that's what I thought, but I was so wrong. At the moment, my current playtime has been about 2.25% of my entire life since Destiny 2 launched. One day, around summer of 2017, I was walking through a GameStop. You guys remember those, right? And I noticed a trailer playing for Destiny 2. This trailer. And this caught my attention because of one main reason: humor. And also Nathan Fillion. It doesn't take a lot to sell me on something if this dude is in it.
Well, I'm all right.
But I saw how epic the game looked, how charming Cade 6 was, and I figured I may as well go for it this time around. I knew more about gaming, I had a little money, and I also had Verizon's unlimited data plan and a hotspot on my phone. So on launch day, I dove into D2 and I loved it. There were gripes I had, sure, as with any game, but it managed to secure my attention and hold it for most of that fall and winter. And I have played Destiny 2 ever since. The game has definitely gone through changes and shifts in its models, eventually settling on a seasonal model with almost yearly expansions, even though that's changing too. And to be honest, I really don't like seasonal models in games. I touched on this a tad in my Helldiver video, but I find seasonal models and battle passes to be the final straw breaking the back of the casual gamer. For a few years now, games have been intensifying. Multiplayer games are increasingly sweaty, battle passes reign, and it's easy to miss out if you aren't up to date on the goings-on within that game. I have a very real issue with hyperfixations coming and going, which means I may spend a few weeks or even months playing nothing but Destiny 2 or Helldivers or Call of Duty, but then suddenly get attached to something else and I won't touch the game for just as many months or even longer. This means I consistently miss out on content that only exists within a game for a limited time. I think evolving stories have an amazing opportunity to create a sense of community within its player base that sticks with it, but then in the same breath will alienate new and returning players by cultivating this "you just had to be there" mentality. Remember when you used to buy a game and then play that game at whatever pace or as many times as you wanted? I can't even play the Destiny 2 that I bought. Most people who play games, including me, have many games that they'd like to play, or jobs that they spend 8 hours or more a day at, and then friends and partners that they'd like to see, and carving out the time to play every season and unlock every battle pass is an increasing issue for players who aren't able to play these games as if they're a job. And for many, like content creators, this is a job. And sometimes it feels like that's the target demographic that these developers are going after. The gap between new and returning or consistent players is one that, despite Bungie's lackluster attempts, continues to grow wider. There have been moments from Bungie seasons and even campaigns that have been real lows, and players aren't missing much when they lose the chance to play them. But just as sure as that, there have been some real highs. Splicing the Vex network in Season of the Splicer, defending the Black Armory secrets in Season of the Forge, fighting through a prison riot to save our Hunter Vanguard, and seeing the city under siege, powerless and crippled after our first run-in with Gaul, are all moments that we will likely never get to relive in their entirety. Gaming is a growing medium for storytelling, and Destiny sets the standard for telling that evolving story over the span of nearly a decade. But without any kind of preservation of that story, it becomes nothing more than a distant memory of Destiny players, or a YouTube cinematic compilation. Wow, I'm sure it sounds like I hate what makes Destiny what it is, right? Well, I don't. Destiny 2 really is one of my favorite games. And I have spent so much time since Destiny 2's launch playing the game, learning the lore, and making friends that I could play the game with. Destiny has dominated the live service market for years, surviving countless attempts to be beaten by games that were labeled Destiny killers. So what makes Destiny stronger than these games? Why do I love Destiny but loathe the live service games that have attempted the exact same thing? The easy answer would be that Destiny's gameplay is swift, smooth, and satisfying, or that its universe is expansive and interesting, that its loot system is endless and worth grinding for. But that's not my final answer. What makes Destiny 2 the best live service game is heart, and a love for what it is by its developers. Through everything that Bungie and Destiny have been through, there has been a consistent passion and love for what it is that they are making. There have been times where it seemed like the development was aimed more towards the bottom dollar, and fan response reflected this. But when the development team is allowed to put their passions and their love for this world and this game into its DNA, we are better for it, and the game prospers. So many of these live service games are plainly money grabs, and they persist. But when Bungie stumbles, the community responds, and the course is adjusted, and the game that we all love endures. The final shape comes out tomorrow. The ultimate conclusion to the Light and Dark saga is coming, and I have faith in Bungie. I have faith in the game and the community that I love. So you better believe that tomorrow when that game launches, I'm going to be right there with all the other Guardians playing it. And I am not going anywhere.